I just finished Elantris by Brandon Sanderson, which is the first book published by Brandon Sanderson, and it is in the Cosmere, which is Brandon Sanderson's larger universe. I've already done a spoiler-free review, but let's do a spoiler review for why I think this book is even better than Mistborn Book 1. I gave Mistborn Book 1 4.4 stars, and I gave Elantris 4.7 stars. I loved this book. I thought it was fabulous and amazing. Same disclosure from my spoiler-free review, I am not comparing the Hero of Ages with Elantris. So when I say that Elantris is better than Book 1 and Mistborn, I'm not talking about the full trilogy here. I'm not talking about Hero of Ages. This is a 6-star read. This is amazing. This is perfection on paper. I'm solely talking about my comparison between Mistborn Book 1 and Elantris 1. So keep that in mind. The biggest strengths that I think Elantris has. First off, I absolutely love the romance in this book so much. I love Rodin. I love Sarene. Every aspect of their developed relationship is just perfect in my opinion. I love the fact that they were first writing letters to each other and then they were talking via Sion or however you pronounce this word. I love the fact that Sarene is the one who first proposed. That's awesome. I love the fact that she shows up trying to like surprise her husband a little bit in advance of the wedding, but then he's dead and she's like, seriously? And then she learns more about him and the grief of like, not only did she plan this wedding because it made political sense, but liking who he was as a person, how he's described, missing this person that she was never able to meet in person. And I love when Sarene first comes into Elantris and Rodin sees her and is like, wow, she's really beautiful, especially because she's so harsh on her looks. And so it was really cool for him to have that moment and then like observe like her intelligence and like her intentions as well. Even when he's a little bit like, her first actions were a little frustrating to him because it didn't work, because it wasn't something he was predicting or planned for. It was really cool to watch him just fall more for her and really like her and like how smart she was and how, you know, just her personality, and she just comes off as a really strong female character and how much he like kind of swoons about that. And then how Sarene starts falling for Spirit, and at first her being really unhappy with this and kind of uncomfortable with it and frustrated about it and like disliking the fact that she likes Spirit. And then she ends up in Elantris as, you know, an Elantrian, supposedly, not actually. And then her liking him even more and understanding Spirit more and really appreciating him and growing in her attachment and attraction towards him, but still like maintaining the fact that she is married to a dead man, Rodin, who actually is Spirit. So I loved how that whole thing went down. I just thought it went really well. And then when right before like the reveal that Spirit is Rodin, that Kalu is Spirit who's Rodin, I just think that reveal went so smoothly, so well, and just showed their chemistry really well and just the adorable interactions that they have with one another. So I really bought when Sarene and Rodin say that they love each other, that they've grown to really love each other. It makes perfect sense to me. And they're already married. The political atmosphere makes a lot of sense. So I just felt like their romance was really strong in how it was presented, especially for being something of still a slow burn and a development of a relationship. I bought it. It felt more mature and it felt real, and I felt giddy while reading the whole thing. I even really like the way it's displayed that Harathan grows attached to Sarene and his realization at his death at the end of the book that he loves Sarene. And I love the fact that that it's kind of ambiguous to us, the readers, and even really in a way to Harathan on how he loves her. He's definitely grown attached himself to her because she's so intelligent, because she was such a challenge for him intellectually, because she made him grow and develop as a character and as a person. And I just thought that those were such amazing reasons to really like her, you know, but like, again, he liked her as an enemy and he liked the competition that she provided. So when at the end, when he's like, I think I love her, again, it's like, it's not even really clear like how Harathan thinks he loves Sarene, because there's just not enough time for him to develop love in what way. And I think it worked. I think it fit. So that's the romance element. And I think it was chef's kiss. I thought it was beautiful. I loved the side romances that we saw. They really enriched the story. And I think they were really beautifully well written. I really liked the three point of view character perspective that we get in this book. I love all three of them. I love Rodin, I love Sarene, and I love Harathan. I really love Harathan's interactions with Dilaf. I also pronounce names however the heck I want to because I did not do this via audiobook. So if I'm mispronouncing names, whoops. But these are how I read them. But I really love Dilaf's character. I love that he provides a really unique mirror for Harathan to see what Harathan is becoming, is denying that he's becoming. So it's like taking a person who's on the road to becoming an extremist and putting them in a room with an extremist. And instead of them wanting to become an extremist even more, instead being kind of horrified by what they see. And that was the interactions between Harathan and Dilaf. And I loved that. I loved that Dilaf provided that. I loved the fact that for all three main characters, they're planners. They try to, you know, craft the solution to their situation, to their problems, to their goals in very intellectually smart ways. They're crafty, they're smart. And yeah, I also love the fact that nothing ever goes according to plan. I love that everything Harathan plans with Dilaf falls apart, does not go according to plan, and I feel him so much on that because he tried so hard and he thought he was really clear. And when Telri becomes king, same thing, where he's like, what in the world is going on? Like when you've laid out all the dominoes and it's supposed to work the way you want it to, and then it just doesn't, and you're like, because other people can make their own choices, and it's so frustrating. It's really funny even when like Sarene messes up Rodin's plans and it ends up working for Rodin, but it's really interesting where he's like, oh, my wife, who I'm, you know, I've never actually met in person, but I really like her and I know her intentions are really good, but she's messing everything up. And it was really just fun to like read that. And then later when Serene had sent the Elantrians like a bunch of useless materials, or what she thought was useless, ended up being really useful, and they were still able to use them. And so her being like simultaneously like, oh darn, like my plans didn't work, but I'm also glad they didn't work because it wasn't really nice of me to do this to you, but also I had a good reason for it. The mess of all that just felt really good. I love that even when we have moments where we have royals making really foolish decisions, if they're lovable characters, we understand it and we still, I don't know, like feel into it. So when Serene's father decides to convert in order to save his daughter, but not actually convert, but sort of convert, I just love him. I love his sweetness, and he just adores his daughter. And love will make you do things. And even when, and his love for his daughter just, it does. He makes foolish, king royal decisions, but also you completely understand it. You get it. Like, only love and mercy for him. So I just felt like it was really strong. The twists at the end were amazing. Dylaf actually being higher in power compared to Harathan was hilarious and also not expected. And so that was really interesting. I loved Adian, one of the sons of Kim. I love the fact that he actually was an Elantrian and that they hid him being an Elantrian. Like, oh, that just enriches it. The fact that Kin was crushed throat pirate guy, that was great. I love the narrative of why he and his brother have issues with each other. It was like slowly kind of revealed. I love the fact that these reveals were things I just did not plan for. I just like I didn't have any ability to imagine them. I really appreciate that the whole magic system of Elantris is something unexpected. Like, I never would have predicted that the Aeons are maps of Elantris. Like, never crossed my mind. Even when we are, repeatedly presented with the narrative of the chasm that happened, just didn't register. So I like that I wasn't able to predict what the solutions were going to be magically or politically. That was just, it really enriched my experience of reading Elantris. So really enjoyed that. Lastly, I love Hoyd. I love the fact that we get exposed to Hoyd. I already know that he's important because of Hoyd's storybook collection that Brandon Sanderson's coming out with. So even when I was reading Mistborn, I knew to pay attention to Hoyd if he ever shows up. Same thing here for Elantris. So just overall, really, really enjoyed Elantris. As I said, 4.7 stars. I absolutely adored this. And I am really hopeful that eventually there will be more novels for Elantris that Brandon Sanderson writes, because I will definitely be rereading this and reading those if they come out. Next up is Hope of Elantris, which is the short story accompaniment, which is in Arcanum Unbounded and is very short. So we'll see how this goes.